Rankdouken!
All right, so welcome back, everybody, to episode 2 of Rankdouken, and that's Randeukon.
Is that a question or a statement?
Yeah, both. Episode 2 of Rankdouken. So
See how much planning goes into this.
Okay, so before we get into this one,
Oh, boy.
I've
Yeah.
got a Rankdouken
Oh, boy.
story. So back to episode 0.
Oh, is that what it
All right.
was? It
the
wasn't
soda.
one?
We-
0 was the sodas, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this weekend, I put it out of my mind or whatever, and we're walking down the soda aisle, and they had like redone something on it, and so like a beacon was the Publix Coke Zero, whatever they call it. It's
Zero
the
soda.
Zero soda.
Cola.
And I got the cherry version. I know you're not big on the cherry, but it was like the best
It's
zero
better
soda.
than the regular
It is.
zero sodas, right?
So the problem, like Coke is known for that bite.
yeah.
And so they were trying to, I think, emulate that with the Zero, but it's too much with the lack of the sweetness
It's
or whatever.
vampiric.
Exactly.
How much bite's in it?
And so the Publix one has
Blah.
the exact mix that you
It's
want.
perfect.
And it
It's
was $1.
smooth. It's like the Royal Crown.
It is.
Of
It's
zero
it's 100% the
it's
Royal
so
Crown.
smooth going down.
And for $1.50 for a 2 liter, like
You guys
I
sound
am,
like a bunch of alcoholics.
But Coke Zero is like the Jack Daniels. It's got that, or it's like the Wild Turkey. It's got
yes,
that bite.
exactly.
You know, you don't want that bite all the time. You
So
want that
it's-
smoothness.
So it's cheaper. It's smooth.
Yeah.
The cherry for me is just the right amount. Like it had everything. So we are now like Publix Zero
I'm telling you,
soda
it's $1.50
fans.
all the time. Not when it's special sales or anything.
Yep.
But I feel like I did myself a disservice because now I am having a problem finding the Dr. Publix Zero sugar in stock.
Now-
every time I go, there's like a bottle left.
Okay. So it's funny you said that. Now I remember why I saw it. It wasn't that they reset everything. We were walking down the aisle and my son goes, Dr. Publix, what is that? And I was like, oh, you don't even know. I said, and so my only disappointment with that, and yes, it's a great deal at $1.50 for a 2 liter, and that's fine, but I would love if they had the old cans of that in a cold, in a machine that was cold.
Yeah.
I could go in there and pop open a Publix Zero in a can. That would be
Perfect.
just perfect.
Yeah.
So if you're out there listening,
Dr.
corporate
Publix.
headquarters of Publix out of Lakeland, please bring back the soda, the canned soda versions of your Publix varieties. So yeah.
All right, so on to today's topic, which is Nintendo home consoles.
Ooh.
So we're going to do this in...
Fists are going to fly.
We're going to
Oh,
do
man,
this in
okay.
reverse release order, so newest being first.
Boy.
I will say, and we'll get into this, but I did see a ranking thing where it was like blind ranking, and you could only put, because I was thinking about our like too many
The middle finger
middle.
ramp of
Yes.
burger places.
And
that
so
we have.
they did a blind rank, and you could only rank, basically you had to put
I've
each
seen those on
thing
like the
in
late
one.
night shows and
I
stuff.
don't think
I'm not a
I
fan.
don't
So-
think this will have the same problem as last week.
Okay.
I personally feel that it shouldn't.
I just thought of that as an
So-
alternative if we were having those
Yeah.
issues come up.
Yeah. So we're going to do this with the reverse release, so the newest one first, which we're going to start with the Nintendo Switch 2.
Well, and to reinforce, it's S
Yeah.
A
S A B C D F.
Okay.
So S being the best, F being the worst. So the Switch 2. So
I'll start with D for unnecessary.
okay.
This is something I have zero experience with.
Sure.
I decided to skip this one entirely because I just didn't feel it was needed. I'm still enjoying my Switch. It didn't launch with anything that told me I had to get this game or I felt that I was driven to get it. I'm perfectly fine being a Switch 2 ownerless person.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have Switches at the house. I did not purchase a Switch 2. Kind of the same thing. It's like there's some things that would have been nice to have, some speed bumps on a few games. arguably it was stuff that should have probably been in the first iteration if you're releasing said game on that console. And even some of the new stuff, I'm like, really, could this not have been done on mainly your first gen hardware? There wasn't enough differences.
Yeah, it didn't feel like there was really any other reason for this to come out now other than just trying to beat the market.
And really,
to
it
beat
was
the Sonys and the Xboxes for their next.
To me,
gen
if
stuff.
it had been like a 1.5 where it wasn't really a totally new generation, I would.
Yeah, but didn't they do that with the OLED?
Kind of, but I feel like the upgrades were similar to that in nature. So, So I'm great.
Now,
I'd go D.
Now, should Adams have more weight since he's the only one that actually owns it?
Possibly. Let's see what he thinks about it.
So I got one on launch. I agree with you guys that there wasn't really a reason other than a lot of games on the Switch were definitely showing the console's age. You run a lot of the newer games and the thing chugs, the original Switch.
Yeah, so arguably some of the earlier games were just pushing it too hard.
So the argument can be made that the Switch 2 makes those games better. So it enhances Switch 1 games. So I think D is a little harsh only because to me, D is like a console that is arguably bad. I don't think the Switch 2 is bad. I just don't think there's a reason for it to get one yet.
Fair.
But
I have to look at it as a complete package, price, performance, what you're getting.
But the performance, I think, is there.
The performance is.
I think the hardware is better. The screen is much better. The Joy-Cons feel much better. It has better frame rate. Everything about it is better than the Switch 1. The price is not better.
I was really shocked. And I know nowadays we're dealing with RAM and storage things.
Sure.
But even at launch and before launch when they were doing that price, and I know we got into a little tariff territory at that point, but I was just shocked by the price that they were trying to justify on that one too.
I would say I think D is a little harsh, only because I don't think it's a bad console, but time will tell. I mean, that's the thing is, I've got a couple games and it's whatever. Like I haven't been blown away by anything. I haven't been disappointed by anything other than whatever.
What's the number one game you've played on your Switch 2?
So it came with Mario and Donkey Kong.
Mario Kart.
Sorry, Mario Kart World.
Yes.
And I will say that the whole open world part of that game to me is useless. It's just not for me. And that game feels like a better version of the Switch game, which is a better version of the Wii U game. But the game that I play the most probably would either be Donkey Kong or Mario Tennis. I still need to finish Metroid. Metroid was whatever.
Don't lie.
And
It's
Metroid
Balatro.
was for both.
No, I did not. I purposely did not get Balatro on there. I have it on my phone.
You knew it would be the number one game.
1,000%. And I'm not rebuying it again until 2 comes out. I personally would give it a C because I think it's a little early to judge it because there's just not enough stuff that makes you need to get one yet.
I'll revise mine to a C because I do feel that D is harsh. I'm grading it from D primarily from the unnecessary element.
And I agree with that.
And
viewpoint.
they didn't support it with anything that was like, oh, I have to have this game and therefore I have to have this console. It was just like we'll release some new stuff for it.
And the price and stuff in there, I'm sticking with D. It aggravated me, but I understand the C ranking on it.
So overall C then is what we're saying, right?
Yep, C minus.
C minus, okay. Up next is, big difference here, the Nintendo Switch 1.
Yeah, it's the great blending of the handheld and the console, right? They've been working towards this forever.
Yeah.
Nintendo comes out with NES, home console. Soon, a couple of years later, come out with Game Boy, groundbreaking handheld console. Then you get stuff like the Wii U, which is kind of like
we're gonna get there. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just saying
it's a long time.
You wanted to go reverse here.
I agree.
I think chronologically.
I think this is the first time they got that idea correct. They got it right.
Because they gave you the tablet version, but still required you to be tethered to the home. Yeah. And Switch was really the first satisfaction of, hey, it can be both. You want it at home, dock it. You want to take it with you, great. And it accomplished everything it needs to accomplish. And I still enjoy the hardware. Yeah. Let me say it chugs on some stuff. I mean, maybe that's just part of my nostalgia for Nintendo stuff. I expect it to not be the top performing thing. I expect it to hit those retro urges. So yeah, the Switch to me is a solid A.
Yeah, so the blending of the two things I never loved.
I can get that you're like, hey,
But do your kids love that?
well, I can get from your perspective. I think you're going to be like, it doesn't do either one great.
Yes.
And that's fair. That's my viewpoint on it as well.
So,
Totally get that.
and with my old eyes, it's like I'd rather just play on the TV anyways. So like, let me do that as an option. But the games are a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like we enjoy playing it.
Nintendo makes good games,
They
dude.
make good games.
I mean, Hades is on there, so
That's the thing. Like the Switch is there's so much.
yeah. Oh,
downloadable software
and they did the
everything,
great thing they did with the Wii Store, right?
Yeah.
Where they release all these retro games for it and let you play those too. They have the I forget what it is, the yearly
Oh, the pass, whatever.
pass
yeah,
or something,
yeah.
which gives you access to a bunch of SNES, NES games, all that kind of stuff. So you can play a bunch of classic stuff that's part of that. So that's enjoyable too. Like they tapped into it.
Yeah.
And I don't feel any of that from the 2, as saying before, which hence the grade. I felt all that from the Switch.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'll go with A. It's one of those things where time will tell, and may sour me a little bit more.
I wish the
whatever.
games
It's
tasted better. Other than that, I think they hit all the goals that they were going for.
Hang on. My take on the original Switch is also an A. It's not. I will never play the 1 or the 2 handheld unless I'm like on a work trip or something like that, and I'm going to take it with me. But having adult hands, it's not that the screen is bad. It's just that it hurts my hands to play on those the Joy-Cons. It's just not comfortable and like.
They got to hurry those things up.
Yeah, I know, but even I don't know, man. There's just something about like the stock joypad thing that just makes it not fun to play unless you're playing Balacho or something like that, where it's not that big of a deal. So the handheld thing, even though it's not for me, it's incredible that they were able to do that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that played it. They took it everywhere with them, and they played it a lot. I do think they did a really good job expanding what the Wii did with online stores, like you said. And there's so much third-party stuff on there, all kinds of. It seemed like every week there was new stuff to play and download, and just the idea of it being able to, playing Wi-Fi, wirelessly with your friends and all that stuff that the DS kind of started. Fantastic. So I absolutely think the original Switch is an A. Now we might be getting into some lower territory. The Nintendo Wii U. I will go first if you guys don't want to.
So I never owned this.
I got one. I'm a Nintendo sucker.
Yeah, my brother has one. I've played it. But nothing ever compelled me to say, I need to own one of these.
So I think it's got one thing going for it. And
Amiibos.
No. No. Although those are neat, but it got excessive quickly. The one thing I think the Wii U had going for it, which you may not even tie it to the Wii U, was Mario Maker. I think Mario Maker is one of the greatest games ever made, and clearly it was a tool that Nintendo had internally, and they cranked out games with it. They made all the new Super Mario Brothers U. All those games were made in Mario Maker and sold as a game, and no one can convince me differently. Which, hey, that's fine. They should be doing more things like Zelda Maker. Make a game that you can do that kind of stuff with it. But I do think that I would give it an A for effort. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think they executed anything well on it. I think the controller was bulky. It wasn't comfortable to play on. It didn't really have much of anything unique on it, I don't think. Most of that stuff was ported to the Switch because they didn't sell enough Wii U's.
Right.
I think outside of one other console on the list, this is probably the worst one. I would probably give this one a D.
Yeah, second screen, I don't even remember anything that it was all gimmicky. Like it was stuff
There were like on Zelda you could do stuff and it would but again it was gimmicky. It wasn't.
Right.
It didn't really add much.
Right. and it just made like, okay,
That I can
now
remember.
like, you know, I feel like the Star Fox game too, it was like, we're going to add
Like-
stuff that's like now makes it harder to just enjoy the game.
Right, because it was trying to mix in the motion control stuff of the
Yeah.
Wii and the dual screen stuff of the DS into a console, and it just like it. Again, A for effort, but I just overall, I think in hindsight, looking at everything, I would say it wasn't great, and I would give it a D.
So I'm going to go F. I think this was a complete flop as far as like getting anybody that had loved, you know, the Wii to get them to
And the
buy the
name's
new
awful.
new console. The name's awful. The execution was poor. You know, we could definitely see where they were going and what they were trying to accomplish, I think. But I don't think they landed anything. So I'm gonna go F.
I never got all the Wii U hate. It was a console we had. We purchased it after the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
My family enjoyed it. My son enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing it. I didn't mind the bulk of the tablet either. Actually, felt very comfortable playing it in my larger hands.
Sure.
And this is going to sound terrible and probably result in a bad grade or expected bad grade here, but
I know what you're going to say.
it felt like the Nomad version.
I thought you were going to say Game Gear.
Well, I mean, I was thinking even bulkier. The Nomad version of a Wii, you know, but that feels good. Like that feels like,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't have to be sleek and everything. You said even like the Switch, right? Those controllers
skinny.
are so skinny there.
Yeah.
I always liked the games. I thought, yeah, they tried to do too much gimmick,
Well, that's the thing.
and it didn't.
The
didn't,
Nintendo games are always going to be good.
right? But I don't know.
I
I
didn't-
had a
I
good
didn't-
time with the Wii U. It's
I
something
didn't
that we
hate-
kept playing for many, many, many years after its supposed end to life.
See, I didn't hate the Nintendo, like the first party games on the Wii U. They were all fun. I don't think I had all of them. I didn't. I think that had the first new Zelda on it, right? What, Breath of the Wild was on Wii U?
It
'Cause
came
that's-
out right at the end.
Yeah.
I think. of
So
the Wii U.
that's what I
Yeah.
played that on. So like it had that. Overall, I just don't. I don't know. I don't think it was ready for what came out. That's all.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a C. I don't hate it. I had a really good time with it.
Yeah.
I understand it's got limitations.
Sure,
and,
sure.
It shot for the moon
Yeah.
in some ways and definitely failed, but I don't think it's necessarily a failed console.
So if we have an F, a D, and would you give it
C.
a C?
So it'd be a D.
A D, right? Okay. All right. Up next.
Plus, I had to give it low. I mean, we were going to end up with this middle finger. Everything's a C except
I
for
told
two
you.
consoles.
I told you. I don't think this is going to be an issue here. All right. So the next one is the Nintendo Wii.
I'm struggling on this one.
I am too.
I'm not.
So I think the Wii. I'm struggling between two letters.
Yeah, same here.
I personally don't care about like units sold and that kind of stuff. It doesn't pertain to me. My thing is if I buy a game and I buy a console, did I have fun with it, right?
Yep.
And I absolutely had fun with most of the Wii stuff. I think a lot of the games that I played, though, luckily you didn't have to do the motion stuff. I think the motion stuff was neat for like Wii Sports, but when it came to, you know, the Zeldas and other things like that, like I don't want to swing it around like that. Sometimes I just want to sit on the couch and play a game. And luckily, for the most part, you could do that if you wanted to, right? Most of the games, I didn't like the visual appeal of a lot of like the Mii's and stuff. I think it's a cool idea. Wasn't like a seller for me. Most of the games were good on it. The Mario Kart was good. The Mario Galaxies are some of my favorite Mario games.
The Mario Kart's so good they just keep reusing it.
That's what I'm saying. Like that Mario Kart game is DNA is still there, buddy. The Wii is between an A and a B for me. I'm probably gonna lean. I'm gonna give it an A. I'm gonna go A for the Wii. I had a lot of games on it. It had a lot of weird stuff. It had Tatsunoko versus Capcom. It had Boom Block, stuff that wasn't first party.
Yeah.
That was still a lot of fun. So I would give it an A.
Yes.
I'm also with you wrestling between letters, but they're actually letters I didn't expect to wrestle with.
Okay.
When you first announced this, I'm like, okay, this should be pretty easy. But then the more I thought about the Wii, the more elevated it became in my head because that's a special console, and part of it is I definitely had some connection to disabled and handicapped people
Yeah.
around this time that the Wii came out. And I saw how greatly it impacted people who had physical disabilities.
Sure.
The Wii Sports
The
is
accessibility
such-
is what you're saying.
is such an underrated aspect of gaming
Yeah.
that people just, it's a pack-in.
I saw a
It's
thing
this and
today where like nursing homes
that. Yeah.
have full-on still
Yes.
Wii Sports bowling leagues, and they
Absolutely.
like get heated at it.
And we were doing a lot of work with disabled people, sports ability, and some other stuff around here, and we utilized that. We took the Wii and we found ways for people to use the Wii motion controller and stuff like that. I've never seen video games unlock such a fantastic response
Yeah.
in people. Than
Totally
that.
get it.
And so now I'm sitting here wrestling with the letter. And for me, it's between an A and an S
Yeah.
because personally, I really enjoyed the Wii. I think the Wii
I did too.
is a ton of fun. I loved the motion aspect of it. The Mii's are fine, but that was part of it, right?
Sure.
It was neat to be able to personify characters and have fun. And we had tons of fun with that, dude. Making everybody for the family, or just making goofy characters, or like trying to mimic some famous character or something, and then have them in your selection of your Mii's that you can pick from. But for me too, that's where that retro game aspect came into play. I played so many NES and SNES games they re-released
And
in
I think
the store.
a lot of those games were never released before.
Right.
Like Sin and Punishment.
And
I think
Versus
was-
Sin and
games.
Punishment came
Versus
out on
games.
that.
Yep.
That's the first time they had been released and everything. So
Let me remind you, Adam, you may want to revise. Ironclad for Neo Geo was
Yeah.
first released for that. And so that was a prototype up until that point for the, it came out for Neo CD, but it was a prototype for the arcade.
Sure.
And guess what? That was the arcade ROM that they basically released onto that shop. So that's how we first got that.
So I know I'm going over time, so I'll just
You're fine.
wrap it up and say I thought when you announced this title, I would have one S tier console, but I'm going to have two because I got to put the Wii as S tier. It revolutionized gaming consoles. If it wasn't for the Wii, we would have continued on the PlayStation, Xbox progress of just that's it. There's nothing else inventive. There's nothing else revolutionary. Gaming can only be sitting in front of a TV with a controller in your hand and playing. And people don't understand that really shuts off video gaming from a large percentage of people. And the Wii unlocked that. And that, to me, is S tier.
Yeah, that's a great review. And a great aspect of it that a lot of people, I don't think, they don't think about that.
But it also had discs, so I'm going to give it a D. No.
So for me, this was not, I said, I don't have any qualms about coming up with a letter for this. And mine's going to be S all the way. This is a console that, whether it was my grandparents, my parents, me and my kids, or just me at the time, we could get together with friends, whoever, and we had fun playing it. Didn't matter whether it was a Nintendo game, a third-party game, like you mentioned Boom Blocks. I'm like, I kind of want to go play that,
That game rips,
tomorrow.
man.
It does. Like
That Spielberg guy knows what he's doing.
he does. And so it was a game console that long after I had I'm busy with life, busy with job, doing other stuff. Not that I didn't still collect stuff here and there, but that was like what got me into like collecting again for a system, just because there was so much that was fun for it.
Right.
So there was a lot of those hidden ones where like you would get stuff, and yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of shovelware, but some of those were fun little games to just play.
Even light gun games. Being able to play
Light-
light gun games again.
There was a bunch of Sega
There's
arcade
a lot
games
of
that were
arcade ports
re-released.
on it. And there's arcade hardware that's a Wii. It's a literal
Yeah.
Wii.
Yes.
I've got one.
So, there's a bunch of Sega stuff that got Ghost
people-
Squad got ports, LA Machine Guns got ports.
The people that like complain about the shovelware on it, like that's not the console's fault.
No.
So like I
And
never
even a lot of that, I mean,
never
people
liked
would
listening to that argument like, oh, it's a shovelware thing. It's like, okay, but that
But
so is
people would
PC.
consider a
Yeah.
bunch of those Sega arcade ports
Right,
as
right,
just
right.
shovelware.
I
You know,
agree.
so like, and that was awesome to get some of those things. So, you know, I have so many fond memories that we still, like you said, Mario Kart. We'll turn on the Wii
Yeah.
and play Wii bowling.
I still have
And,
Wii hooked up to one of my TVs. you know,
Exactly,
it's-
we do too. And we'll play Switch Sports, and I think, you know, this is fun, but I wish it had a little more accuracy.
right.
You know,
Yeah,
I'll be putting in a golf game and think, you know, the Wii
It's
did
still-
this a
It was
little bit
amazing
better.
how
So, like,
accurate it
It
was.
still bums me out that they didn't make a full golf game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Bums me out, dude.
so when I'm playing Switch, I'm like, man, this putting would be a lot better if we had some IR sensors and a bar up there that I could just plug in and you know, make it work.
Yep.
So
All
yeah.
right. So the next two I think are going to be interesting to see how you guys go. So the next one is going to be the Nintendo GameCube. I'd like to go last on the remaining ones.
This one's tough for me. Is it? No. It's not my least favorite.
So are we
It-
going to
it
also
cannot
do
be.
the Panasonic Q and we can
No.
mix in a DVD player with it?
No, because I'm not doing the 64DD either. These are just the regular ones that we got here. So
Okay.
there's no extra, you know,
Are we
Sharp
doing-
Twin Famicom, blah blah blah. None of
Okay.
that.
Are we doing handhelds and
This is
So
just
separate?
what is considered home release consoles. So we're not doing Game Boy, like that's handhelds.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Then I might only have one S tier.
I figured there's one that you both are for sure going to do S. There's one I'm going to make an argument for an S that you may not be on S.
Yeah, that's the one I think I'm picking between which one's my least favorite. Okay, so GameCube. You know, I wasn't in gaming much during the GameCube stuff. I have really hate mini discs.
No, look, I agree.
Breaking well.
I think that's the
it's
biggest
got some
problem
good
with it.
games. Undisputably got some good games.
and I'm glad a lot of them got moved on, got ports to
Yep.
Switch and things like that.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Second worst controller.
I can't get on board
Especially
with
for
that.
my hands, man.
Yeah,
there's
if you've got-
buttons. It's like, I don't know. It's like bouldering. There's all kinds of grips and buttons and other stuff. Then it's like, why is this here? Why are there buttons around this button? Why are there
Yeah.
other stuff? So it didn't make a lot of sense from the ergonomics perspective. But just based on my attachment to this or lack of, I'm going to have to go D. D is not that this was a bad console.
Sure.
D to me is if I'm ranking everything and I'm placing other consoles in higher letters, where am I ranking this one if I'm considering it not as fun as those? So that's why I'm putting this one in D.
Sure.
Yeah, I was looking at the previous ranks too when I'm thinking about this because I was struggling between a C and a D because I do enjoy some of these games. I enjoy the fact that they're now on Switch and I can play
They're
them
much funner.
in an enjoyable way. Yeah. So with that being said, and looking at our previous rankings, I'm gonna go D also. I do appreciate some of the things they did. The Game Boy player, they did a broadband adapter for this. Like they were trying some things that you can see with this. It's a neat console. Similar to you, Rob, I was kind of out of gaming at this point. There was a GameCube around. I played stuff on it. I wasn't huge, Smash player or anything like that. So
I never got into Double Dash.
Yeah. So
It looks like a cool lunchbox.
It does
Pick it up by
was a
handle
neat
and-
design.
It does look
I
like
mean,
a lunchbox, yeah. So for me, GameCube, this is one where when I first saw it come out, I wasn't really into it. Like I first saw it at a kiosk in a Sam Goody. They had a Luigi's Mansion like thing, and I'm like, that's whatever. It looks cool. And I remember seeing the controller like, this looks stupid. Like I hate the way this controller looked. It doesn't look comfortable. And then my buddy got one, and he got Smash Brothers. Mm-hmm. And I remember we went over there and we played it. And once I put the controller in my hand, I'm like, oh, I get it. Like I get that this controller feels like it was made specifically for Smash Brothers or the other way around. Like it just felt like it just fits in your hand really nice. The shoulder buttons are super like clunky and clicky, but in like a good way. So you get like the response from it. It's not. It has a lot of things wrong with it. I think that the use of the mini disc is weird. I don't know why they did that other than just to be different. I feel that it hurt a lot of games coming to the console because they couldn't fit the games on those discs.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like
I feel like it was their
aesthetically,
reluctant, like, you know, okay,
to be unique
like,
kind of a thing.
well, that, but like,
it's their first
you know,
CD console too.
We said we weren't going to go CD, and we made a
first
big deal
disc, I should say,
about.
sorry.
We made a big deal about with the N64. Let's we'll just kind of say, well, we'll do our own thing of it, and not like.
So for me though, Double Dash is probably my second favorite Mario Kart game, just because it was so different than everything else, and the fact that you had the teams and you had these different things. It's, you know, a lot of people dunk on Mario Sunshine. I adore that game. I know it's different, and a lot of people, you know, don't like it, and that's fine. But I do think
Pikmin and Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, it's got a lot of really, really good games on it. That again, I completely understand they got ported later on, or whatever it is, but there's just something magical about the console. Like this was Nintendo's last gasp at trying to remain relevant on the technology front, as far as graphics and sound and all these different things, and didn't work for them. They didn't win that one, clearly.
I don't think that's their strength either.
It's not.
Yeah.
But I think that it was their last attempt to try to do that. And I think it got a lot of things right. It, you know, having the 4 controllers, again, it wasn't their first. We'll talk about that later. That's a good thing. The memory cards were great. The Game Boy player was awesome. I love that you were able to play Game Boy Advance stuff and Game Boy stuff. I know Super Nintendo did the same thing. We'll get there as well. But that stuff is cool. So for me, I personally think the GameCube is a B. I think it was a refreshing getting me back into Nintendo console. And I know it's not for everybody, but for me, would be a B. So with 2 Ds and a B, is that a low C?
Yeah.
So I'll put C minus. All right, up next. Pretty sure you guys are going to dunk on this one. The Nintendo 64.
So I had the 64. I think that might have been probably the most, at the time of it actually being out there, the most recent console I had. You know, I had Nintendo and I had SNES and stuff from before, but like that's when I finally was able to start getting console games, and I started collecting console games. So N64 was like the new when I was doing that. There's a lot of good N64 games that I like playing, but none of them are like the hallmark ones that people consider for the N64.
Sure.
The 3D itself didn't do much for me, and the controller was abysmal. I think
I think the controller's
definitely
terrible.
the worst controller that Nintendo ever made. Still, I found more enjoyment with that system than I did the GameCube. So I'm going to put the N64 in as a C for me.
Okay.
So N64 for me was on the tail end of my like heyday. I would say, you know, when I was starting to concentrate on other things and life stuff was starting to get in the way. But I still remember being pretty hyped for it. The, you know, Killer Instinct, Cruising USA, the Ultra 64 hype train was real.
Oh yeah.
You know, thinking about getting some of that silicon graphics technology
Big
at
Mario
home
floaty head
was pretty amazing. And I still remember, you know, trying to talk my dad into like another console at that point and going into our Toys R Us here. And they had a kiosk set up. And I remember him playing it, and that was his first like experience in like being able to run around in a 3D space. And he was like, that was amazing. We're going to have to get one. And so like, I still have some really fond memories of that and playing Mario 64. And there were some other really good games I ended up getting. There was, what was it, like
War
Mischief
Gods.
Maker?
Yeah.
Was that the treasure game?
Mischief Maker.
Mischief Maker.
Yeah.
I randomly, you know, ended up with that one Christmas or whatever, and that we put hours and hours into. That was a great game. You know, there was definitely wasn't the number of games that I was able to get and enjoy as with a lot of the other Nintendo consoles. But the quality of the handful of things that we did enjoy were definitely there. Everyone dogs on the controller. Like, yeah, it wasn't great, but like, I thought it was certainly serviceable for Mario and the other stuff that we were playing. I never really was like, this is unplayable. So I would give it a B.
So this is a tough one for me. So I didn't have this console when it was relevant. I didn't get a 64 until GameCube was out. But this one is very hard to not let nostalgia get in my way.
Yeah.
Because much like your dad's experience with Mario 64, this is one of those landmark games that broke my brain.
Yep.
Playing Mario 64 for the first time, I'm like, this is I don't understand how games can get better than this. Like, this is the most fun thing. Just running around and like jumping in that 3D space for the first time. Like, I think I was 11 when this came out. And like that's like the time that my brain was just like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? It's got my favorite Mario Kart game. Mario Kart 64 is my favorite. I was not a massive GoldenEye fan. I respect it, but like it just wasn't my thing. But dude, everyone was like all about it. Again, all the first party stuff, Mario Party debuts on this. There's so many like fun things that this console started. This was the 4-player console. This was the one that kind of started that. At least I don't know about it, like the Atari or the Coleco if they had any of that stuff, but like this was like the first quote unquote party console that people super got into.
Well, Dreamcast was my party console, but
this was before the Dreamcast. But I also think that the games are kind of ugly, but I don't hold it against it because so were PlayStation 1 games. Early 3D games, they had that unique look, and that uniqueness is kind of ugly. Yeah. But again, you have to start somewhere to get better. And I don't fault the PlayStation 1 or the 64 or the Saturn for, per se, and kind of how they look. But this one's tough. I don't think, man, it's tough. I don't want to dog on it. But I think the 64, to be fair to it, I would put it in a C, outside of it having some of the most legendary games. But overall, third-party support really wasn't there like it was for other places. They lost Final Fantasy. I would give it a C, which pains me because Mario 64 is one of, if not my favorite game of all time. So you had it in a D? C. Would you have it at?
B.
So C. Okay. So this next one is a little weird. I didn't consider this a home console, but the internet list that I pulled it from said it was. The Nintendo Virtual Boy.
Yeah, okay. I mean, where else are you going to keep it?
No, I know, but it did have a battery pack that you could take it out. Because I remember there was a dumb picture of a kid in Nintendo Power laying in a park on his back with the Virtual Boy on his face. Because it had a battery pack. But
it
it's
had
technically
6 or 8 batteries. I can't remember on mine, and it would eat through them.
Quick.
But,
Were those C's or D's?
I think they were double A's.
They were double A's.
Oh, okay. I was thinking I never had a Virtual Boy. So.
I got one later on.
I have multiples.
I was given the opportunity to buy them, but I just passed.
Yeah.
So I remember playing this in Target because they had the kiosk stuff set up with it. It's so again, this is where you have a console and Nintendo's trying to do something different. They're trying to be innovative. They're trying to get ahead of the game, and they put all their chips in on black, and it turns up red.
Yep.
Quite literally, and headache-inducing. This is one of those things where it just didn't seem like they let the research come back and sway their opinion. Like it feels like people got wrapped up in a really crazy idea and were so gung-ho about doing it that when they started getting some of the feedback of like, well, maybe this might create some feelings in some gamers that may not be things we want to promote. They were just like, oh, it's going to be small. Don't worry about it. And keep pushing. I don't want to rag on this, but I don't have any other option really as far as placement, I think, just based on, because I do want to commend them for the idea and the attempt. But if you're just looking at execution, I mean, it has to be an F for me.
Whew. All right.
Again, it just didn't work. And I don't think I've ever played a game more than like 2 minutes. So I can't say if there's like a lot there. There was a lot of interest there when it came out. And I remember attempting and then just not enjoying it at all. So
All right.
And I hate to I feel like I'm dogpiling on something, even though no one else has voted yet. But I feel like I'm dogpiling on it, and I don't want to, but I don't really have like another option in this case. So
Yeah.
I think the stats are going to back you up. You're fine.
well, I feel like I'm surrendering to. I want to make it. I'm not surrendering to like the idea of what everybody or what I consider everybody else thinks about the Virtual Boy. I'm basing off my opinions. I just don't really see another option other than giving it what I'm giving it.
Yeah, like this one's a hard one for me. You were talking about like the nostalgia factor and like, you know, I get wrapped up in like the history of it and in Gunpei Yokoi and the designers and like what
people make mistakes, Jared. And this is one
of
them.
They do, but you know, if you play some of these games, like
can you?
You can
with a fan and Dramamine
on the Switch 2 or on the Virtual Console.
You have a modded one of these. You can play this on a big TV.
I had to mod it so I don't die.
Now, like I played these games on it. I played Red Alarm. I played the tennis, Mario Tennis. You play these
the
games.
best game on the console is Teleroboxer, and I will not hear anything else.
Teleroboxer
is awesome.
Is awesome. Faceball, whatever that Faceball prototype.
Wario Land is fun. I always wanted to play the Street Fighter 2 port.
Didn't they have a Star Fox?
No, that's Red Alarm. So
okay, I remember playing a flying one because I was really excited for that, and then
So I actually like the controller. I think is amazing. Like,
what'd you say about the GameCube controller?
The game controller was fine
because they're the same controller, except for the Virtual Boy is thinner. I was about to come at you like a spider monkey. That's right.
Corporate wants us to find the difference in these two pictures.
They're the same controller.
He was the one who really hated it. Like I was even like with N64. I'm like,
so what's funny is the 64 controller is literally a game controller and a Wii controller in the middle.
Okay.
Like Nintendo has not changed that ergonomic at all until the Wii.
That's funny.
It's just the argument for the 64 controller is correct because like had the middle thing like the analog been on the left, I don't think it would have been as big of a problem.
No. But it doesn't be so prone to grinding.
It turns into cocaine.
So I can't, and I'm looking at the list and I'm like, I have so much more fun than playing this than some of the other stuff. So like, I can't get on board.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I'm give it what you're gonna give it, man.
I'm gonna give it a C. I think it's fun for what it is. I definitely think there was issues with the tech at the time, but I think it's fun. I enjoy playing the games on it. I think they have some. I think they're definitely enjoyable to go back and play now. I'm glad to see that it got re-released on Switch. Or Switch 2 or whatever.
I'm not because those resources could have gone into an F-Zero game.
I'm not super happy that I think you have to have like the ultra elite tier super online edition or whatever to play them. Like, let me just pay $60 or whatever and play some games. But that's a gripe where I guess we should have talked about that at the Switch. But so I'm going. What did I say? C. I'm going C.
So I think this is Nintendo's worst console release ever. It's a thing that I too played at first at like a Circuit City, and I think they had tennis, Mario Tennis. I think was in there, and I remember being a kid like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But even like playing it in the Circuit City, I'm like, ow, my eyes hurt. Like, and this is before I had glasses or anything. I'm like, oh, it must just be because it's really dark in here, and I was looking at bright stuff. And in hindsight, it's just no, because it was just really painful on your eyes. So to me, something that physically hurts me when I play it, I can't give it a good grade. As fun as some of the games can be, Teleroboxer is super fun. Like I have a Virtual Boy and I modded it, like Jared said, to output VGA, so I could play it on like a computer monitor, but like that kind of stuff.
So think about that when you're rating it, not about
I'm not going to do that.
Not about childhood Adam.
I'm not going to do that because I shouldn't.
In a Circuit City
parking lot. Degeneration.
I shouldn't have to physically modify something to not physically hurt me to enjoy it. Again, it had a couple of fun like games. Wario Land was fun. Teleroboxer's fun. Tennis is fun, but.
And to be fair, they kept that in the vein of stupid decisions. They kept that as a required peripheral for you to do 3D on the Switch port, so you can't even just play it 2D.
Sure. It's I respect that they tried something, but I do think that they should have given it more time. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you fail at things, sometimes you succeed at things, but looking at just the history of everything, and again, I'm a Nintendo nerd, I can't give this anything but an F. I can't. Like, there's nothing redeeming about it to me. It's an interesting try, but had they put their faces in it and played it for 10 minutes, there's no shot they didn't know this was going to hurt you. I just don't believe that. It is so harsh on your eyes. It makes no sense. And I understand LEDs were like a new thing and it was expensive and red was like...
It just means it shouldn't have passed testing.
It shouldn't have. This is a tech demo you bring to E3 and go, that's a really cool idea. We're going to build off of it. And then you build off of it.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been released as a console, to me.
All right.
2 Fs and a C. Is that a D?
minus.
All right, I've done my due diligence for the
All right, we got
Virtual
sorry,
Boy
man.
because
I hate that
the
you
fact
like it.
the
So
fact
two
that
left.
it's equal to Wii U, I'm like, okay, I can go there.
I think it's worse than Wii U, but that's fine. All right, next one. I don't think this is going to be tough for either of you. The Super Nintendo.
So that's S tier for me.
Best,
I know.
best console ever made.
So
In my
both
opinion.
S's for you,
Yeah.
I'm assuming, right? So again, I did not grow up with this one. This was one that I didn't have until later. I think I got this after 64
Oh wow!
because I was a
didn't
Genesis
realize
kid,
that.
right?
Yeah.
But my neighbors had Super Nintendo, and I absolutely loved it. Donkey Kong Country, like Mario World, all that stuff. I don't think you can give this anything other than an S.
Yeah.
I just don't think that you can.
This is, I think, the only argument you have for, and I don't even know if this is an argument against an S, but the hardware. Is it the hardware that makes the SNES, or is it the games that makes the SNES? Because there's just so many fantastic games for this console, and games that only existed on that console. And I have so many fantastic memories tied to this. I didn't have one at the time, but I had friends who did. So, the first time experiencing Super Mario World, holy crap.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I agree.
I was like, just like you had with Super Mario
64.
64,
Yeah.
whereas like, can it get any better than this? Like, it was so gorgeous to look at and play, and everything
smooth.
felt so good.
And it looked like a cartoon. Like,
And that by far is, even growing up and, where I'm at now in life, that still is my favorite. If I just want nostalgia and I want to play something really fun,
sure.
I can pull
That game is aged
from
incredibly
300
well.
games or something that I've gotten and pop it in there and play it. And the underrated controller. The controller is fantastic. It's flat, yes, but the way that's rounded on the edges, and you're going from the NES, box one, the rectangle one, to that, I never had any problems with it. The buttons are some of the best feeling buttons, the glossy, rounded buttons on that.
It's one of my favorite D-pads.
I was gonna say
You got the Sweeties buttons, and you got the glossy rounded buttons.
You got the
Both of them feel
Skittles, the Skittles and the Sweeties.
controller wise is amazing. Like I've got some adapters. I'll plug that in on the Mister and use that as like a controller for a ton of different games.
And
on the
rock
Mister,
solid console. I don't know how many SNES consoles I have, but I don't know if I've ever bought a bad one.
I only ever had one that broke, but it was like green.
I've got like 12 of them, and like you pick them up at yard sales and stuff like that. But I'm like, okay, well that's a working SNES. I haven't tested it, but I just assume because they all work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it's S's across
This
the
is
board.
the Whataburger
Yeah, I mean,
of Nintendo consoles.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have much to say other than it's great. I love it. I had it. I remember getting it at Christmas. It was a surprise thing that I didn't think I was getting because we were out of town.
Yeah.
At my aunt's house, and I was like, I helped pack the car.
That must have been amazing to actually get that for Christmas.
So like,
Yeah,
I can't even imagine.
No.
oh yes,
Is this how the other half lives?
I don't know. I never
Is this
got
how the
one for Christmas.
1% lives,
I'm
Jared?
the 1%er.
I remember my buddy had it, and he had I can't remember if it was a Madden. It must have been a Madden. Was there Madden games on Super Nintendo?
Yeah.
He had a football game. I think it was Madden, but he also had Link to the Past, which is my favorite Zelda game.
Yeah.
And I remember like playing Zelda on the NES and then seeing that. I was like, oh my god, like this is wild. This looks so much better. The music sounds better. The sound effects are better. It was just Link to the Past and Super Mario World. Holy crap! Like a lot of people argue, and I personally don't understand it. They say like Mario 3 is the best 2D Mario game. I disagree wholeheartedly.
It's definitely Mario 2.
Mario 3 is a fantastic game, but like Super Mario World, to me, like everything about it is better. It's bigger, it's more colorful. Like it's unreal how good of a game that is. Like it is just, it's awesome. Absolutely great. All right, brings us to our last one, which is the NES, the original NES.
Yeah, I mean, this one's an A for me. It gave us everything that we love. And it's got core memories established with it and games established with it. But it didn't do everything as good as Nintendo then went on to do.
Sure.
For me. And it's not as a dependable console. It's, build quality isn't fantastic on it. It had a lot of components in there that failed and everything. But I mean, still solid, dependable, classic A.
Yeah. This is one that I'm actually struggling with between what to select. This is, I go back and forth depending on what I'm thinking of, whether it would be an S or an A tier for me. It's a console that I love. I still play games on it. I've, bought, HD FPGA recreations of it.
Oh, yeah? Me too.
Yeah. So I have a lot of the same, Super Nintendo feels for this console. I remember going to Turtles and renting games for it and, just having a blast with it. And so for those reasons, I'm putting it at the top of the heap. I'm going to go S tier. Yes, the Super Nintendo refined a lot of those things, arguably did a lot of them better, showed off the graphics capabilities better of things. But man, watching that Super Mario 3 premiere on the Wizard and all that entails,
being able to plug the Power Glove into something,
pulling the, opening up the Nintendo Power, seeing the maps of stuff, playing with my dad and, drawing out, levels of Mickey Mouse capades on like big, planogram paper and stuff like that. Like those were some great memories and great games. So, we're going S tier for it also.
This one kind of was tough for me too. For me, it's between an S and an A. So I do agree that the Super Nintendo, hardware-wise, clearly is better. It does everything the NES does and more. So like, that's I'm not going to say a slight against the NES. You can't really hold earlier technology against it. And I agree with Rob. There were a lot of hardware issues with it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that too, they didn't really know until it was kind of in production. You know what I mean? They learned from their mistake when the Super Nintendo was much more dependable. The 64 is also a super. They pretty much work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like 64 is like a tank.
Yeah, they pretty much just work. So again, I think Nintendo learned a lot from the NES.
And in that vein, I'll just say, you could also nitpick, the Famicom had expansion audio that they pulled out.
100%.
And
100%.
They did these things that were weird for our region that you wouldn't like. But
what makes me lean towards an S personally is the software. Mm-hmm. And again, a lot of this is nostalgia for me, but this was the first console that was mine. This was the first console that I specifically rented games for, that I asked for games for my birthday. We got Mario 3 when it released, like most people did. This was what made me fall really in love with video games, is the NES. And, I've got, you guys know I've got a near full set. Most of the games are bad. I'm not afraid to say that. I've always said that I think out of the 677 licensed games, I think there's 100 good games and 40 to 50 great games, which is like, percentage-wise isn't terrible. And it's not that there's a lot of awful games on the NES. There's some.
Yeah.
There's some that are bad. But I just think this is the first time games had the characters had actual character and facial expressions, and they tied into cartoons I like, DuckTales and Rescue Rangers and all that kind of stuff. So all that factoring in, I think I have to give this an S.
It's hard though.
It's hard because
this is one of the hardest ones
it's hard
for me.
because the Super Nintendo, again, not even having one, just but playing it clearly is a superior console. But I didn't have it as much, so I don't have that attachment to it. But I don't think the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo walkthrough the Super Nintendo could run.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
That's what I went through, because in my mind I'm like,
so I think
I'm like, oh, DuckTales, and then I'm like, oh, Faxanadu. Like, so like for everything there was like another thing
Right.
like to drag it down.
I know.
I'm like, I kept going back and forth, and depending on the day, you know, I might switch that up for sure.
So I have to give it an S. I didn't think you guys would be surprised by that.
No, I figured that was a shoe-in.
All right, so our overall review of Nintendo home consoles is just as a recap. The Switch 2 is a C. The Switch 1 is an A. The Wii U is a D. The Wii is an S. The GameCube is a C. I have minus, but we're going to give it a C. Mm-hmm. The 64 is also a C. Virtual Boy is a D. Super Nintendo is an S. And the NES is an S.
So when you chart that out, because I do that just to remember where stuff
it's going to be at the front of the bell curve this time and not the middle.
I love it. It's like if the Virtual Boy like arguably isn't like a home console, like if that was out of them, we'd literally have like
lowest would be a Wii U.
Lowest would be Wii U, but it was like 3 at the top, then S right below it, then nothing in B, then 3 consoles.
That's wild that
in
there's
the
no
mid.
Bs.
Right. 3 consoles are just right in the middle,
yeah.
and then Wii U was underneath it. So
I thought this would be a fun one because I didn't think there'd be many Fs or Ds. There would be 1 or 2. I assumed there would be a 1 F, but I figured more of it would be at the front because, like, honestly, man, like they make good stuff.
Yeah.
They usually make good stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's no McDonald's in their console. There's no like hated one or
Virtual Boy.
Well, but even then, there's still things you can appreciate about
Sure,
it, even
100%.
if it's them taking the swing.
Yes,
you know, but
and that's the thing I respect the most about it.
Yeah,
is they tried something weird.
Right. I mean, when's the last time the Sony took a swing?
The PSVR, and they shouldn't have.
Fair enough.
That's all I got for you. All right, well, cool. I appreciate you guys listening. That'll be episode 2. If you have any suggestions for topics, let us know. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep picking stuff that I like. So appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one.